Howdy y'all, my name is Price and welcome back to some more Slime Rancher number 2. It's the second game. So y'all, it is October 20th. How ya doing? Well, for y'all, it's the 21st. I always say that and I'm always a day early. I'm always a day before y'all, you know? I'm in the future. I'm in the past. Wait. Anyway, timey-wimey stuff. And that's just Slime Rancher for you. So y'all, last time we got ourselves our first new Largos in the set of Largos, and already I'm thinking some things. I kind of want to move them over into the chicken zone, the chickpocalypse. My thought here is we have so many spots, okay? We have so many of these areas, and I only really spend 90% of my time here, and it's because of how inconvenient it is to walk all the way out here, right? So my thoughts are that, A, we've got a bunch of teleporters that I could actually use to get around the ranch. I know. Isn't that so ridiculous? Y'all, if you watch my original Slime Rancher series, that's what I do. That's what I do. Teleporters between zones. It's just easier that way. So how many teleporters do we have? So which one of these is already out? The blue one's already out. We've got 3 more that we can make with the appropriate resources. Do I think it's worth doing, knowing that we've got, you know, the different teleporters home here, we've got the blue one there, so this place is really well covered. Like, I could eventually want one more out here. Out here, I could want a couple, maybe. But what I'm thinking is, you know, I can make that gray one and put it, like, all the way down here, right? So that helps me get to this zone. I kind of want one to get me back here. It's like, I know it's not that far to walk all the way over there, but at the same time, whenever I come back here to, like, check on stuff, I always stop here because I'm like, all right, I want to get back out there. But I want to make sure that I'm actually checking, you know? Sadly, there's no, like, one-way teleporters in that direction, right? So I got to use 2 ways. So we'll think about that. The other thing I'm thinking of is I want to clear out all of these spots, you know, maybe move things around. We have the opportunity. I'm sitting here as if we're locked into this set, but, like, you know, we could change these. I mean, they're both on the sand. Maybe we don't make those corrals. Maybe we make them silos, or maybe we make them, like, I don't know, something. But you get what I mean, right? We can move things around. So I'm going to be thinking about that. Like I said, I might be thinking about the teleporter thing. We're going to want to go out and get a new set of Largos as well. I'm actually going to clear out some space here. We're going to make ourselves a pen. I do think we're going to want to make at least one corral out here. Who knows about teleporters? But we're doing corrals out here. Okay, we got a lot of hens to deal with. Oh, man. These guys, these hunter bunnies, we gotta do something about them. My goodness. So many hens. It's hendless. I'm sorry. That was kind of awful. And also kind of hilarious. Okay. So we're going to turn one of these plots into an actual corral. Maybe this one. I don't know if we're going to hold on to these guys or not. We've had them around here for a little while. Obviously, we're going to want to give them a name at some point. But we've sort of had them, you know, so I don't know if we want to keep them in a pen. We'll think about it. But this pen that I'm going to make, I want to make for a different kind of slime. Largo. And, you know what, let's get rid of these chickadoos real quick. There's other kinds of slimes that I'd like, or hens that I'd like to be picking up. Where's a regular hen? Where's a regular old hen? Do we have none? Are there none? So I want to make sure I'm picking up all the ones. Alright, well, maybe not. Beep, boop, beep, boop, beep. Alright, Alia. Let's go. Okay, anyway, so what I'm thinking is I want to do another kind of carnivorous slime. And so I was thinking through what we've got that we could put together, right? So we have tabbies, our meat eaters. We've got booms, our meat eaters. Is there anything else? I don't think there are in this one. Slimes. Okay, who eats meat? You eat meat? You eat meat? You eat meat? And you eat meat. Okay, and so who have we got covered right now? We've got... What did we make? We made hunter... I can't even remember now. Hunter anglers, right? We comboed those two together. So those are like super predators. So we could do like a boom tabby which would do something, but I mean, we've seen that before in a previous entry in the series. So I'm thinking maybe we do some other combos, so like Boom with one of the new ones, like a ringtail or something, and then a Tabby similarly with one of the new ones. I'll think about it as we're getting out into the wild. Beep boop bop boop beep beep beep. Oh boy, too many hens, but it's all right because what we'll end up doing, like I said, is we're gonna put a corral here, and then I can just start throwing them all into the corral because if they're all in the corral, it's easier to get them. All the hens is what I'm speaking of. Air net, plort collector. I'm getting auto feeder. Why not? I can stuff that full of a bunch of hens. Aha, you live in there. Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do. So what I'm saying is that like if I fill all the hens into one of these, right? Actually, you know what? Let's see how many hens we've got first. So I'll talk to y'all while we're doing this. So, like I said, I'm really working on wanting to get some new Largo combinations up in here. I've been having y'all vote in the community posts on what you would like to name the Largos that we've been doing so far. And so we've actually got what I would say is the first definitive answer. I don't know if there's a limit on polls, how long they go to when they stop, but last I checked, and it's been over 24 hours, the winner is Peeps, and actually by a long shot. So for the pink bunny, the pink cotton Gordos, or Largos, excuse me. I always mix those two up in my head. They will be named Peeps. They shall be officially named Peeps. So yeah, that's our first one. Today, the poll is out for the phosphor ringtails, and we'll see kind of how that goes. Gosh, so many. Are they getting in or no? They're out still. Oh no, you are in, huh? Hey. How's he? He keeps on. All right, there we go. So yeah, we're having the name for the phosphor ringtails go out. By the time you're watching this, it's probably already over. But do be sure to go and check all of the polls that are up, because there will be a different poll that's up. I'm going to do one every day until we've got the next 6, maybe 7 Largos named. Maybe I will do the what you call it? These guys. These what do you call them? Cotton ringtails. Maybe we'll do something with those as a name. And y'all have actually given me some good names down below. That one of y'all nailed it with these guys, calling them Furret, like the Pokemon. Like, I forgot about that little guy, and it's been a while. I have not played like really any of the modern Pokemons really. So like the last one I played was like maybe Black and White. But Furret, I think, has been around for quite some time. So I do know Furret. And so as soon as you said that, I was like, oh my gosh, I can see it. I can see it. These are Furrets. Okay. Oh man, at this point I kind of want to just leave this going, and then we'll see kind of how this fills up with the hens. Okay. Maybe until it gets a little overgrown rather. Overflown, I guess, because they're hens, right? Oh goodness. Just want to mix y'all around, you know. That is a lot of hens, and we're not done. Okay. So we're doing those names. That stuff's great. Really loving all that. You know, I'll mention it again just because, you know, it's the last week. We're really trying to make this happen. We have our plushie, our Warrior Bear plushie that the sales of it end in just a few days. When you're watching this, I think we've got like 4 days left. And we need to sell 200 of them in order to get them to actually release. Now, right now, we're sitting at just under 150, but that means we need 50 more. So if you could go over there, makeship.com, or over to store.stumpt.tv, check out that Warrior Bear plush, and if you so could, pick one up. Maybe tell your friends about it. The Warrior Bear is cute. You don't have to be a Stumpt fan to think that little dude's cute. got nieces and nephews, you know, that need some gifts, you know, maybe think about it. I don't know. I'm doing my best here, right, y'all? I'm doing my best. Yeah, and then beyond that, we do also have a whole bunch of new merch on the store. I am hoping to have, within the next couple of days, a new, very special, super limited edition shirt for this Halloween season. So do keep your eyes peeled for that. Keep your papers peeled. And we will, and hopefully y'all will like what I came up with. I'm fully just clearing out all of these pens just so we have an idea. Because there's also all the chickadoos is the thing. Like, even after I get all of these hens up in here, there's all the chickadoos that we're going to have to go around and scoop up as well. So this ain't going to be an easy job. But, man, is it funny. Okay, so... yeah, we got that stuff going. Beyond that, so last episode, I had a goof. I accidentally muted during my break. Is what I often do. It makes it easier for me to find in an edit. And then I forgot to unmute. Or rather, I'm pretty sure I pressed the button and I didn't press it hard enough. That happens all the time. If you watch on stream and whatnot like that, there will be plenty of times where I'll be quiet for a while and then you'll hear me go, I was muted. So it ain't the first time. So it's definitely user error. But, you know, we can only move forward, y'all. I can't go back in time and change things. So, yeah, that's what's going on mostly. Beyond that, been talking about, you know, building a narrative structure for this. I'm already getting lots of ideas. We've come up with a couple of things, couple locations. Didn't mean for that to go in there, but it's fine. It's not going to hurt anything. So I've been coming up with, yeah, like a whole bunch of different story-based things for this, but I think, you know, we've got some pretty good ideas. I think that I'm going to continue to build on it, and we'll go through, like we started the Crystal Cavern Waterfall last time. I'll see if maybe we can do some more on that. Obviously, I need to be gathering a lot of resources. That's what a lot of these episodes are going to be, is us chatting while I'm running around doing a very little bit, and then we're gathering resources, because we just need so many. Like, I'm learning that it's really like jellystone, buzzwax, and primordial oil that are like crucial ingredients in everything. So, yeah. Okay, let's launch these. Don't need those. The plorts, they're just going to take up spots for now, just because I need to deal with these. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. It's a lot of briar hens. It seems like we've almost done a dent, right? Oh boy. At this point, you know, I think we're going to fill this whole thing up. Like, it may not be full today, but I kind of have to just, like, go all the way with it, you know? And then the question is, do you throw a slime into it? Or do you just destroy it and then they all fall down? I don't know. What do you do? Because, like, you could throw, like, a ringtail at the bottom and then largo them as fast as you could, maybe. We'll think about it. We'll think about it. Okay. Well, let's at least pick up all these. I could also take all the hens out of there and throw them in is the other thing I'm thinking. Because we've got... oh yeah, several hundred. Oh man, it's incredible. Never in the previous game would I have expected such a thing. There's so many hens. You just popped up, didn't you? They're so... see, they keep... it looks like, oh no, how do I keep missing them? But it's like, no. They keep on popping up. The little ones are turning into the bigger ones. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's do that. Let's do that. Let's do that. Okay. So, yeah, I will actually... we'll go ahead and do this a little bit because I think it's actually kind of funny. So, we've been trying to come up with ideas for places that we can... oh gosh, it's my alarm. It is 10 o'clock. Which means take your medications and things. Gosh, where was I? I got distracted by my alarm. We've been coming up with story-based things. Been trying to really build this sort of universe that we're having here, which I'm having a lot of fun just like even in this like early phase of trying to figure things out. I'm really looking forward to getting deeper into that. And then, you know, there's a level of just, like, excitement to be creative and a little bit of apprehension, you know? I'm a little bit like, oh, I hope people are going to like what I do and all that, but I know that that's just, you know, that's jitters. It's jitters is what I got. But it's all good. Okay. There you go. Beep, boop, bop, boop, beep, beep, beep. Okay. So, just getting all these hens up in here. My goodness. It's a lot. And yet, not as many as I thought, like in terms of how much space they take up, right? Like, even though I have a couple hundred to put in here, we could probably fit a couple hundred on top of that. Although, with as many roost rows and hens and everything else that we've got going on in here now, they'll probably be producing a lot of their own chickadoos. So there's a chance that we leave after I put all these in here, and then when we come back, it's like super overflowing. We'll see. I'm curious about that because in the previous game, if something is like overfilled when it comes to a corral, it just pops. But in this game also, usually stuff like that doesn't happen until you're present. So it might be one of those things where like, it'll be stuck here basically in like a sort of form of processing, I guess. And then as soon as we walk through the door, we might see it just explode. Or the game crash, or who knows, whatever. Oh, by the way, for those of y'all watching, I asked questions last time. I don't actually know if the question made it in. I don't know if anything made it into the last episode because of how much I lost. Oh gosh, now I lost my train of thought. Oh, I talked about the graphics, how I had it on high graphic settings, and I was noticing just a little bit of maybe slowdown. And so I had said, you know, y'all let me know, are you seeing frame rate issues? Are you getting frame rate drops? Because it could have been on my end. So now I'm switched back to mid graphic settings, and I think that's also helping with this hen situation. The situation hen. I'm so sorry. Oh, you can stand on them. I thought you would fall right through. Look at this. I'm in a chicken pile. That's so great. Oh, man. All right. All right. We're doing more. Doing more. All right. Now I think that we're coming to the end of it, right? But do we have hen on this side? We have a fair amount over here with these briars. And there's still some up in the coops. So I need to do one last sweep, but you know what? This is a fun little thing, I think, for me today. You know, every now and then, you know, you get little sparks of inspiration or whatever. Today, this is my distraction. I should say, I have not taken my meds yet today. I know my alarm went off for it, but I'm taking them right after this. I know that I have a long stream ahead of me, so I know I want to wait to take some of my medication so that I don't crash during that stream. And that's okay. That's with the kind of medication I have. It's more of a take when you need it rather than a take at a certain time. So I'll be fine. Okay. More hens, more hens. All right, grab all these. Grab all these hens. So, yeah, building story. There's some stuff I wanted to talk about psych-wise that we could talk about. Perception is what I was thinking. I always talk about it. It's my favorite subject. And, you know, we could just talk straight into it because I think it's so fascinating. So I may go into that in a little bit here. But also I do want to be like paying attention as we're out there, like where can we decorate? Where can we put characters? You know, it is something that I want to do. And so that's the other thing is where we've been planning on putting Gordos. I actually want to kind of think about, why do I have these? If there's decorations that we want to put there as well, you know, I'm kind of thinking one or the other. I'm like, here's where Gordos go. Or, here's where decorations go. But like, it makes sense to kind of mix them together, right? So many. I will never be done with these hens. It's like a sort of infestation of like ants or something like that, right? You're like, you try and get rid of them, and there's another one. He's over there. Oh, there's another one. He's somehow snuck in. It's like you never get rid of it until you call the exterminator, right? See next level, exterminator. Okay. I'm so sorry for all of my horrible puns. Mostly sorry. Okay, see how many more there are up here? This is how many have popped up as from the little chickadoos since last time I was up here. Isn't that bonkers? The older ones are okay to be around because of their stuffs. Oh gosh, these guys are getting angry. They hungry. Okay. I might need to get rid of these slimes so they don't ruin my masterpiece here. I know I'm not the first to do this, all right? I know I'm not the first. So, you know. All right, you guys, I gotta send you back home, all right? You're wonderful slimes. You've done incredible work for us. You glow so brightly. Just incredible. We will have y'all be named at some point in the near future, just like your friends. And hey, maybe we'll bring you back another time once we kind of, you know, settle in. All right. So yeah, like I was saying, like that's one of the other things I really want to focus on going forward here for a little bit is like, let's rearrange the ranch. Let's come up with some new things, you know? I think that could be really fun. Go! All right. Oh, a couple more. This is almost full. I'm really happy with that. Like I said, you know, we're gonna probably here run out. We're gonna run out of hens to put in. Like a few more will pop up here and there. But for now, we're gonna probably be a little end. So this is why I want to get rid of these guys, is so if something happens and all these hens break out, that they'll still be around, that we can do a part 2, a try again, a do-over. Okay, so I think we're good. Just one more look up here. There's probably a lot more briar hens in that thing now that I think about it. Did I get all of y'all? I did not. Not a lot, but some. Oh, and there's also old ones. That's right, I haven't thought about the elders. They're all sucked up in the little elder filters. I don't know what you call them. So I should grab all those as well. Like, let's just go take these guys in real quick. Did I just throw a port in there? I didn't mean to. Okay. The, oh gosh, I wonder how many there are. Probably not that many. Okay, just a few. Just a few. Yeah, only a handful. Okay. It was mostly out and about that that those guys seem to be doing their thing. So now, here's the question. Do I leave a couple to start breeding in these? Because they will breed faster in these. You know what I mean? So if I do want to have a couple more hens, maybe I will grab a roostro and a couple of guys, and then we'll have them rebreed. We know we want sea hens. So I'll grab from the sea hen section. Grab a couple roostros. And I think we're going to want... I mean, one or the other, we're definitely going to want briars or stonies, so it doesn't really matter. We'll just do sea hens for now. So we'll go boom and boom. And boom and boom. And by the time we come back here, it's going to be a nightmare. Oh, hey! Don't think we're going to leave you out. Ka-thunk. Boom! What a shot. Look at that. All right. Oh, boy. A couple more of y'all, huh? I can't guarantee we're going to make these shots. All right. We're going to go from the three-point line. Huh! Oh, that made it in. Okay. Huh! Ha! Ooh, just in. Just in. Oh, one of them didn't make it in. All right, all right. Saw that one go in there. Oh, you didn't make it in. You see what? I think they made it in, but because there's so many in there, they immediately bounced out. Like, they touched through the wall, but then couldn't go any further, so they popped back in. But if you land on top, they land inside. All right, cool. So... now we'll head off into the wide world of the Wiggly Lands. Like I said, I kind of want to put a corral back there. So we will consider that. But let's head out. Let's get some resources. Let's set some Gordo snares if we got them. And that'll be that. Right now, obviously, I'm just always putting these things away for research stuff. Because actually, when it comes down to us wanting to build the all the different... decorations and things, we're gonna need as many of these as we can get. You can tell that we had several different types of baddies. Okay, these are all looking pretty good though. It's really Jellystone, Primordial Oil, Buzzwax. So one thing I'm gonna do, actually, now that I think about it, is I will actually And then we'll have to go back and check. I'm going to sleep because sleeping does seem to cycle certain things. It triggers Gordos to pop into snares, that kind of thing, it seems. So, so that's why I did that. Okay. Yeah, there's going to be more. All right. All right. How you doing? A couple of y'all. Did it already suck up an old one? No. Okay. And then there's a couple of y'all. See, they're already growing in. That's great. Not at super rates just yet, so that's totally fine. There's none of y'all in there. Okay, there's a sea hen out and about. And boom. Look at the ball pit. It's incredible. Just going to do a little bit of this. I was trying to mix them up. Let's mix them all together, right? They're all kind of separated into like different like areas where I threw them, you know? Let's kind of mix them up. It's like a blender. Well, not like a blender. Oh gosh, that's terrifying with all them in there. No, it's like a ball pit, but you don't want all the same colors next to each other. Boop. Okay. So heading back. This will take a couple of days, I think, for us to get enough hens to fill that. You think I don't see you hiding there, little guy? You think you just hide behind there like that last treasure pod hiding from me behind the vines? Not on my watch, bud. But I mean, yeah, you can just hang out over here. Have fun. Okay, so let's head out into the Ember Valley. Got to go find me some primordial oil. Hopefully cycling that made it a little bit easier to find it. And I don't think I have any more snares. Oh, I do. I have 2. Oh, I have 2 snares that I made last time? Okay, that changes things. Let me look around. So Crystal Cavern Waterfall, I put 1 snare down, but we could get a couple more. So I could do a baddie. I could do another crystal. I could do a rock. We could do one of the teleporter guards, but I'm not sure what kinds of slimes I would want to do that. Was there a spot up here? I don't remember what we said. So I'll work on the Crystal Cavern Waterfall. I will grab I'll grab a heartbeat or 2. I'm going to grab some pomegranates because I do think I want a baddie in there. But we might just do 2 crystals for now. So, like, odd onion time. Oh, and you know what? I should do this anyways because the other one might not have taken. But yeah, rocks, I don't necessarily need to sneak in there with the crystals. They would make sense, right? It feels like rocks and crystals would kind of be of the same cloth. Baddies are cave dwellers. That's why they'd be in there, in my opinion. But maybe the baddies don't get along with them. I don't know, y'all. It's a whole bunch of stuff. Now that I think about it. But no, in that area, that's right. The slimes that are in that area would make sense to represent the Gordos that are in that area. And the slimes that are in that area are baddies, crystals, and rocks. So, yes. Okay, we got messages. Oh, okay, one thing. One of y'all mentioned that you think that it's possible that Gigi or whomever is actually descended from Mochi. Which also totally would make sense. Right? We know that Mochi is the one who likely built the beetles, or at least it's based off of her design. So this could be her long-lost grandchild or something like that from the future who came back in time. Or it could be someone related to Mochi. It could be Mochi's dad in the past. Who knows, right? But Gigi, much like MM for Mochi Miles, I think that lines up. I think for me, the biggest evidence is that... the MM. But that also lines up with OO, Ogden Ortiz, but not Thora West. So that's why I'm like, okay, maybe it's not Thora. But I still think the Thora Hobson theory holds the best weight because of how much of a big deal they made that, oh, we're going to have a kid. Feels like that's Chekhov's kid. You know what I mean? Some of y'all know what I mean. If you know what I mean, you know what I mean. Okay, Yopi, I got you a little... All right, emphasis on the little. You got yourself something big. We got some more root arches. Thank you. Mochi, I love you, but you keep giving us the same gift every time. Do you have some kind of stake in the root arches business? And then as soon as I say that, I'm like, of course she does. Of course she does. Mochi's got a stake in every business. Even in the steak business. Okay. So, off to the Crystal Cavern Waterfall, and then off to the primordial oil locations. Let me think. There actually might be a couple along here, so we'll go this way. Whoo boy, y'all. It's been a week. It's been a week and a month and a year. I'm a little sleepy, got okay sleep last night. It was the night before that I got really bad sleep. But had a lot of work I needed to get done late just because some stuff went wrong. Obviously, you remember if you watched last video, the audio that I goofed, like I said earlier, caused me a little more work I had to do in the evening. But, it is what it is. We also had, I had my appointments and Chrissy had, her tattoo and everything like that. So it's like we had other things that were more important to be dealing with. By the way, once they get up there, I don't know if she's got them up yet, but soon, you should go check out the pictures of Chrissy's tattoo. It's awesome. She's got a ton done. I mean, like, it's incredible. The guy there was like, he was like super proud of her for being able to stick around as long as she did. She outlasted anybody else who came in to the tattoo shop getting work done. Because, a lot of times you'll have a tattoo that's so big. Those tabby bats are so cute. We might want these guys. We might want these guys on the farm. Tabbits. But, we'll come up with a different name together. But so much work done. And, like, the way that tattoos work often is you'll have, like, a really big tattoo that you want. But, like, you do it in pieces, right? And sometimes it's based on, like, how much can you handle, right? So it's like, okay, I'm going to sit here for 3 hours, and then after 4, I'm like, oh, I don't know. And then after the 5th hour, it's like, nope, I gotta go, right? Or for some people, it's 2, or for some people, it's a half hour, or however long. Yeah, see, we got a pinky, so we need to fix that. Oh, I gotta pop them. I didn't even think about popping them. These rock bats are cute, too. Go! Well, let's at least try doing this, and we will get a, I think it would make sense. Let's put a rock guy here. And now I need to try and feed this guy a whole bunch. So let's, we'll grab some food while we're out, I guess. I know I have some pomegranates here, but I want to save those to a degree. What's up here? So here is where there could be a lookout, right, that I had said. Oh, you know what? We're going to put a baddie here now that I think about it, actually. And the reason I'm doing that, okay, is I almost like to think of it like a Batman Dark Protector kind of character, like looking out, like, I'm surveying the land. I can see all of the threats, right? That kind of a thing. I feel like this is a good spot for that, right? Sort of a scout, warrior, hunter type individual. The baddies are so cute. Like, they are so stinking cute. The baddie plushie / pillow thing that we have, it's a plushie. It's huge. Is incredible. It's like so soft and just like so cute. Like, it's fantastic. Of all of the Slime Rancher like plush type things that I have gotten over the years, it's definitely the squishiest. And I feel like that's a good criteria for a slime. Like, squishiness is probably an important statistic for slimeness, you know? Like, if you were doing a D&D of slimes, right? Like, squishiness and sliminess, right? Very important statistics. Very important. Wiggliness also. Smiliness, also probably important. You know, all of these statistics are important, you know, for to develop your slime class in Slimegens and, no, hold on. Gordos and, oh gosh, there's gotta be something. Gosh, because Gordos sounds like dungeons, right? So Gordos and, we'll think about it. I'm going to figure this one out because it's too good. Wait, before I leave. I've got extra food because I already set the traps. You can have those too. Let's grab all these. I'll just get as much of it done here as I can. Okay. Yep. Some more pomegranates. Yeah, so up here, it's a little bit of food. Usually in these higher areas where there's less slimes, you can kind of get a little lucky. Okay. Well, we'll go feed them these. Doop. Yeah, and because then it's just resource gathering, right? So it's like NBD. Where this guy is, this exact spot, I want a crystal there. In my head, it's the sort of leader, but it's like these two, the rock and the crystal, thinking it through. The bat is over here being kind of like the watcher, right? And we may have a couple others, or we may just have like things that we put down. Because again, I was thinking, you know, teleporters and stuff would make sense. Them guarding teleporters is like our entryway. But maybe we have to earn access, you know? So maybe it's not there yet. I don't know. Thinking a lot of things, y'all. Thinking a lot of things. Doop-a-doop-a-doop-doo. Okay. Just gotta remember to grab food while I'm out here. Because I do want to pop that guy. I know that hens are food. I just didn't expect to find a lot of them other than in there. It's like carrots and pogo fruit. You can guarantee you're going to find them everywhere. So go ahead and grab them if you're looking for just food. Q-berry, probably not. Carrot, though. Yeah, jackpot. Okay. I love saying jackpot when it's a carrot. Okay. Whee! Oh, is the world vibrating again? The earthquakes, man. They happen. They scary. Come here. Come here, resources. Oh, you messed it up! You messed it up! Let's try not to get up there. It's fine. It was just refined ore. Or, not radiant ore. Not refined. Ah! You messed it up again! What a little butthead! What a rude, rude boy. Okay. So we are going to head in this direction as we find ourselves more primordial. All right, we know that that's a spot where it can appear. One of y'all was saying something, but maybe you were thinking about a different one. That there was maybe another way up into there? I'm just curious. Like from somewhere else? Hold on. Maybe from above? We'll go. I gotta see. Because one of y'all mentioned it, but maybe you were thinking of a different episode or something like that. One of y'all mentioned, you're like, oh, with that last one, there was actually a way for you to get in there that you just kept walking past or something. But like... No. Okay, there is not. There is not at all any other way that you can get in here. Okay. I feel better now. Because it is such a tricky one. And I was like, oh, if there was another way, then that's how people are supposed to get in. And I just took the hard way. But no. So you were probably talking about a different one. It was, like you said, last treasure pod. And I was like, wait, the last treasure pod? I know exactly where that was. Okay, anyway. Grabbing some things. So out here, let's do a little second here as I look upon this land. Oh, yeah. Lots of spots around here. Like, in my head, I almost need to, like, take snapshots, you know, and then, like, you know, think about, okay, realistically, what are we going to do in this zone, you know? Oh, no, don't fall, don't fall. I slide off of those from time to time. Okay. So, like, if I get up from this angle over here, well, let's get up to something where I'm not having the leaves in the way. Okay. Dude. That's a good amount. I'm going to do a quick little, click. Okay. Because then I can just look at it a little bit in my own time and kind of like think, you know, basically I could put it into Photoshop and I could like draw on it, you know? That's kind of like how I do some things sometimes is I'll just like have to draw on it, you know, or write on it or something. And then it's like, oh, okay, there's the answers. It's kind of like what we talked about before about things like saying things out loud, talking to yourself, whatever, to help you kind of come up with ideas on things or figure out problems that you can't solve. It's sort of like talk through it, right? Because then you're like forcing your brain to think about it in a different way. Because it's both linguistic knowledge, it's verbal knowledge, it's symbolic knowledge, right? It's transforming of things. And so when you have to transform information, you have to know a lot about it to transform it appropriately, right? So your body or your brain or, you know, as you're forming those thoughts, right? You're organizing it in that way. We're like, oh yeah, I do understand this aspect of it and I understand this aspect of it. So that means this. Aha, right? Yes, but you need those steps kind of taken out of your head. There's this old psychological thing that, you know, you maybe have heard of. Or something to the effect of like, oh, you can only hold 7 pieces of information in your head at any one time, right? Have you heard that? Maybe some variation of that. To an extent, it's true. Everybody has a limit of the number of kind of different things that they can hold in their short-term memory, like specific things. Like if you're trying to remember like a sequence of numbers or, you know, like a password kind of thing, whole things like that. Up to, it seems like around 7. Some people it's 5. Some people it's 9. Could probably go up to about 11, or I'm sure there are people who can go up to like 13 or something like that, of individual pieces of information. So what does that mean? That means like if I tell you a string of numbers, like 7, 8, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, okay? Remembering that requires a little bit of attention. However, what I just said already gave you a piece that helps you remember it a little bit easier. 3, 4, 5, 6. That's a unit, right? Like when you hear 3, 4, 5, 6, you know 3, 4, 5, 6, because that's in numbers. You do those numbers. That's in the numbers lists, right? Those go in order. So in your head, you could also be like, oh, okay, it's like 7, I think I said 7, 8, something, 3, 5, 4, 3. Anyway, I already forgot what the numbers were because I wasn't trying to hold on to the information. But it's like it's a set, right? So it's like, oh, we're all familiar with that set of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So if 3, 4, 5, 6 is in an order, then your brain can kind of set that as a set of 3 to 6, right? And that's like one set of information. That kind of thing, right? That issue of like only being able to hold so much in your current memory. The reason that that's relevant is more so because it speaks to why you need to speak things out loud, right? Because speaking it out loud, it's like, okay, I'm taking all that information, I'm putting it outside of myself, and so I'm relieving myself of some of that, that loss of attention, because now you have turned that information into a different form of information that exists outside of you, right? So your brain now has some extra free space. So maybe your brain has been trying to fit that extra answer in there or whatever, but you just haven't had enough space to be able to reconcile it, right? So as soon as you're almost thinking of the answer, you forget parts of the question, that kind of thing. So putting it outside of you is basically like saying, we're going to relieve some of those. We're going to take some of those slots, right? You got a certain amount of like magic slots, like in D&D or something, and or spell slots. You're going to refresh some of those spell slots. All right. They've been used and you know, you can't do anything with them anymore. So you need to refresh those spell slots. And you do that by talking it out, drawing it out, sleeping, whatever you can do to refresh that information and to have it consolidate. Does that make sense? I think that stuff should have made sense. I have not gotten enough primordial oil. I got all this food, so I wanted to go back and pop the Gordo. And then we'll go get more primordial oil around. Okay, my goodness, y'all. So early. I'm getting all jazzed up in the morning. I want to sleep still. I want to sleep. Okay. Crystal Cavern Waterfall. Whoop. I know I had very little energy there. That was tricksy. It's a bit of a test. I'm calling it a test. Because if you call something a test, then you can act like you meant to do it all along. Okay. Beep, boop, bop, boop. Eat the stuff. All right. Pop. What you got for me, y'all? Woo! Whee! Woohoo! I kind of don't want the pink slimes in here because they're going to Gordo this place all up. Oh well, it's too late. Get ready for the Gordo Fest. Okay, so we've got those spots ready to go. I'm throwing all the food out here because I don't need it. Enjoy the nightmares. Okay, yeah. So I didn't end up talking at all about sensation and perception. That happens. I could start right now though, just while we go and look for primordial oil. So sensation and perception is my favorite subject in psychology. It's all about how your senses work, how you take that information from your senses and form it into thoughts and understanding of the world, specifically. Excuse me. the primary thing to study then, or at least a good place to start, is how your sensory organs work, right? So the big one that a lot of people that we start with, and oftentimes it's because this is sort of the one sense that it seems like humans are very geared towards, and that is our vision. We are creatures with pretty dang good vision. It helps us to identify the differences between foods and threats and all other kinds of things. We're smart enough to be able to take that information and actually think about it. And so that's why visual information is so useful to us, because visual information, there's a lot of information in there that's free. Why? Because the sun. The sun. So anyway, that said, so we start usually by talking about the eye, because it's also the one that we have the most understanding of, it seems, from a scientific perspective. Like, we understand how all the senses work, but in terms of the depth of which we understand it, we really know a ton about vision. And a lot of that also has to go into, like, other fields wanting to understand it. Things like for photography and optics and things like that, it's important to understand the basics of perception. It helps us to know, like, oh, if we know how our perception works, we know how perception works, how we can make a machine perceive things, right? So anyway, you probably know this, that what you see in your eye is light reflected off of things, right? You probably know that. You've probably heard that before. The different colorations of light that you experience are merely a reflection, ha ha ha, pun, but they are truly a reflection, not the word reflection, but like they represent the makeup of the item that the light is reflecting off of, specifically the color that you see something as. So like let's take something that's actually a color. It's like blue. This bright blue here is reflecting bright blue light at me, at my eyes, okay? So what does that mean? Well, we'll talk about the coloration of light later. It doesn't necessarily mean it's one wavelength of light. It could be multiple wavelengths of light. It probably is. But what you should really be thinking about is this blue that's reflected to me is what I'm going to see. The object is absorbing all of the other rays of light, because white light is pure light. Anything that is colored is white light that has been split into separate wavelengths of light. And the reason that happens, well, it's not split, it's more like removed. Sort of think of it as like going through like a filter or like a cheese grater or something. So those wavelengths of light get taken out. So the only ones you get back are what we will for now call blue light. So white light goes in, whole bunch of stuff gets stuck in there, blue light comes out, because it's the only thing that this object doesn't absorb. It reflects it instead. Okay? So every color that you see is the color that is reflected off of something. It is essentially the color that doesn't get absorbed by the object itself. Generally, this is told through pigmentation. It's not necessarily pigments, so I don't want to say that it's pigments, but frequently this is spoken of as pigmentation that does this. There are other ways to create color. So if we get into the concept of like those things glowing, actually we'll go down there and we'll do that in just a moment. Because what I'm talking about is like subtractive light and subtractive color. And the way that works is we assume that the light source is white, and because in the world that we exist in, the primary light source that we experience, the sun, produces natural white light. But here we have something that is producing light on its own, right? It's phosphorescent. And so this is an interesting thing, right? It's not actually absorbing and reflecting the light. It's actually producing its own. So this would actually be additive in nature, in which it is creating wavelengths of light, and the combination of whatever lights it's producing are creating the colors that are left. Now, it's likely a combination of the two. This thing here looks like it's kind of shaded and whatnot, so it likely is giving off some light of its own, but it also interacts with the light of the sky. But there's things like at the bottom of the ocean and whatnot that produce light, and so that light is going to be additive, not subtractive, because it is creating that light, right? It is producing the light. So like a light source The sun or a lamp or something like that produces light. It's adding light to the environment. So if you were to look at it and see its color, though you should never stare at the light of the sun, that's additive. And then once it bounces off of stuff and everything it reflects, it's subtractive. The only reason these are important to understand is to know, like your computer monitor as well, right? That's additive. So the reason that it's important to understand this is because when you think about how colors are formed, it's important to understand kind of the sources so you can know kind of how they are being formed. Oh boy, I love talking about this stuff, y'all. Okay, so wavelengths of light. What are we talking about? So you know the rainbow. You seen a rainbow. Because if you ain't seen a rainbow in real life, you see me wear some rainbows, right? So the coloration of a rainbow is actually, you've probably heard of it, as, being like light split by a prism, right? And so that is what's happening is with white light going into the atmosphere where there is like rain droplets, and usually it's like right after a storm or a very light storm, right? The white light that's coming through is essentially being split like a prism. And so from your specific perspective, you are seeing that rainbow because it's being directly reflected into your eyes through that prismatic nature, okay? So everyone sees a different rainbow. A rainbow doesn't exist in a physical space. It exists as essentially a trick of your eye. As a result of the physics of light and how they interact with water. The rainbow is showing you all of the range of the visual spectrum of light. And actually there's light coming off of a rainbow that you don't see that is also part of the visible or not the invisible spectrum, the spectrum of light. So the light that we see, the colors that we see are not the only light that is actually around us. Light is a form of energy. Well, that's a simplification. Anyway, it's a whole thing. It moves as both a particle and a wave. That shows you kind of the different wavelengths. Now, why does it split the way that it does? Well, when I say wavelengths, what I mean is like literally lengths as the... Okay, give me a second. So light is made up of these photons, okay? Photons are like little particles. So you can think of if light was physical, right? Let's say that my vac back right now is a light source. Boom, 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 boom. Each of those is a photon. Each of those is a photon of light, okay? And now you see they go down in an arc, right? The photon goes down in an arc in a wave-like fashion. And so what actually happens is it goes down and then it goes up, right? And so if you go down and then up, the space between those two peaks is going to be the wavelength. Does that make sense? It's the length between waves. You're going to have longer wavelengths and shorter wavelengths, okay? And so the way that our eyes work is they take the information based on those wavelengths of light that they experience and turn that into important information, okay? So at the longer wavelength part of the spectrum of visible light that we see, we're somewhere in like the just under 700 or around 700 nanometers, I believe. Nanometers, don't worry about what that means. All you need to know is that it is a term. It could mean anything. It just means the number associated with that wavelength, okay? So red being at the longer wavelength end of the spectrum, blues and purples being at the shorter wavelength end of the spectrum, and all the colors in between are wavelengths somewhere in between there. So just assume, like on your Photoshop or anything else, that every color has a sort of number associated with it, okay? And so when we talk about wavelengths, we're essentially talking about that number. We're kind of talking about hues almost to a degree. It's not quite that because when we see colors, we are not necessarily seeing only one wavelength of light. So this is where it gets tricky. So before we get into that, let's just have a little quick refresher. Let's talk about everything I just said and try and make it make sense, okay? Your eye senses light that is reflected off of or produced by different sources in the environment. White light is a pure form of light that contains within it all wavelengths, so all hues, right, of forms of light, okay? All of them, right? It's everything. It's pure information, okay? We experience then the difference between that pure light and how it interacts with objects around us, or the thing that produces light and the things around it that it interacts with, right? Okay, so there's a light source here. I'm experiencing that light source, but then also I'm experiencing how that light source interacts with these objects. That gives me information about those objects, okay? So the tricky thing is it isn't actually just like there's hues. Because the way that our system works is we kind of make an average, okay? Our color that we experience is like an average of what we're seeing. I could probably do like a little demonstration here. Let's grab a couple of these different things. Yeah. We got different colors. Okay. I'm looking at my timer over here. All right, well, we'll have enough time to kind of do this. All right. I can do it with plorts too, but we'll just do it here. Okay, so let's call this a spectrum here. We got a blue. We got a green, we got a red. That's how it's going to go in your rainbow, right? You're going to have these three kind of in this order. Nope, the green would actually be closer there. So here's our spectrum, okay? Now, do we have anything yellow? That'd be nice. Oh, hey, here, let's grab a honey plort. Just so we can have like 4 points to look at. Okay, and I'll grab these two, why not? Is there a bunny plort over here? All right, I'm doing a little bit too much here, but I think it'll be worth it, okay? I think this will be a good example. I'm actually, as I'm coming up with it, I'm like, this actually might be a really good example. It could also be terrible. Okay, so. We'll call this our spectrum, okay? We got our 4, right? Blue, green, yellow, red, in this order. That's how your rainbow is going to work, okay? Or your spectrum. Now, let's say I'm seeing something green, like this guy here, okay? It could be that what I am seeing... Let's lose these guys over here. Let's lose these guys over here. Okay. So... we got this green, all right? And let's say that each of these are equal distance apart, right? So we're going to say this is at 1, this is at 2, this is at 3, this is at 4, just for simplicity's sake. Okay, so we see this green here, right? This green could be that the only wavelength of light I'm seeing is that green, okay? So pure light coming off of that, it is reflecting a specific pure wavelength. Or I could be seeing this and that and this. Okay, all of those light could be being reflected at me, but my brain decides to make an average. So if I were to fly up in the air and we were to like blur, and like a Photoshop or something like that, right? The average color that our brain would come to is going to be in between, right? Because it's about the numbers, right? The number that it arrives at by taking how much of this we get and how much of this we get and how much of that we get. It averages it down and says, okay, that's the number. That's what we're seeing. That thing right there. Okay. So it could also be the case, like let's say you're seeing a green light, right? You got 2 of these guys. You got maybe one of these guys over here, and you got one of those guys over there, right? So you don't actually have any green. There's no green in there. Okay. But because these guys are maybe a little bit closer together, maybe there's less of this, maybe there's more of these, right? Because of the nature of the combination that we have here, let's grab a couple more just to kind of illustrate, right? Let's say we have even 3 blues and 3 yellows, no greens, right? But the way our eyes are going to see that is they're going to combine those together, as long as those things are like close enough, because it's one object we're talking about, right? We're talking about a point of light. It'll average that together and say it's green, okay? So it's not 100% just, oh, that's the color, that specific color that I'm seeing. It could be my brain is saying that this is the average of the colors that are around, okay? So that's what you kind of need to know about. That's the important distinction there, is that you're not necessarily seeing just the color you're looking at. Something could be, and usually in nature, it's actually reflecting a range of light and color, and you're just kind of averaging it to the one in the middle. Rarely do we ever actually see pure wavelengths of light, pure colors. Yeah, so that's... That's light. I don't know why I decided to go on that little thing about it, but I think that covers it in terms of like how we perceive color at the most basic level, just like the understanding. When I was in perception the first time, one of the things that we learned or that like was our first major project and that we would do, and then I continue to do in the future because this is such a good way of starting it. So we call it the pathway of light, and it's basically like it was the first big project, not first big project, but first thing you had to do in class, first test, which is basically write the pathway of light. And what that meant is from the sun to your perception, like when in your brain you go, oh, I see that color, right? What's the process? All the way through. I'm going to run you through it. Okay, this is my memory of it as we go through it. So the idea was from the sun to a flower to your eyes. Okay? So we start with the sun. Full spectrum white light comes from the sun and passes into our atmosphere. Already some stuff's going to happen. The pure white light is going to collide with and interact with the particles in the air. There's not just water in the air, there's dust, there's all kinds of things that it can interact with. So the light hits that stuff and starts reflecting all over the sky. And that is why we have a blue sky. Why is it blue, Price? Why is it blue? Well, remember when I talked about the numbers earlier? Blue is at that shorter end, right? So like what I said was 450. It's at the low end, the shorter end, okay? Because of that, because of how quickly those wavelengths move around, they're more likely to collide with stuff. Meaning, on a massive statistical scale, they do collide with stuff more. So the average of what's happening in the sky right now is this blue. So as we have a sunset, right? As we have a sunset happening, you know why it gets different colors? Because the light is having to pass through more and more and more and more atmosphere, meaning that more and more and more of those other colors also start to collide. So as we get closer and closer and closer to the atmosphere, that's why you get those oranges and reds and purples and all that kind of stuff, is because more and more and more of that light is getting scattered throughout the atmosphere. That's also why it starts to get darker, right? Because less and less of that light's making it. Now, obviously, once the sun goes below the horizon, it goes super dark, right? Because there's no more light coming in. But even as we get closer and closer to the end of the day, you start to see it darken because the light that we're getting is coming from a source that is being obscured more. Okay, so light comes in, goes through the atmosphere, scatters across the sky, comes down to a flower. This guy right here, okay? It interacts with that flower. Pigments in that flower. Hold on. Flowers do have pigments. That's why I'm going to use the word pigments. Doop bop boop bop boo doop boop. Okay. The light hits here. Pigments in this flower now interact with the white light that did make it through, because white light is making it through, right? It's not like it's all blue light because it got filtered. It's just some of it got scattered across the sky, but white light still makes it through, okay? So that white light interacts with this flower. This flower, being this kind of bright pastel pink, is likely going to be reflecting colors, actually, which here's what's interesting, because this color is actually one that really only appears in our heads. It's actually probably reflecting to me some very light blues at the very low end of the spectrum and some deep reds at the far end of the spectrum and nothing in between. Because in our eyes, color is not a direct line. It's not 450 to 700. Okay, it's not just those numbers. It's a circle. Okay, our brain takes the edges. It takes, okay, let's put down our edges, right? Call that blue. Call that red, even though it's pink, just call it red, okay? That's our spectrum, right? And everything in between. But our brain doesn't go, oh, and then at the end of this, it's black. And oh, at the end of this, it's black. Our brain goes, I don't know what happens at the end there. I don't know what happens at the end there because we have no information. It doesn't, like, not like we have any information to know what happens there, right? We don't perceive it. So what our brain does is if we experience something where we get these guys and these guys at the same time, it's not like we go, that's impossible. They're at two other sides of a spectrum. What? How could that be? It's like, no, it's a circle. So our brain squeezes these two together at the end. So there's this sort of, it's not a theory, it's just sort of an explanation. I don't really kind of adhere to like the way that it's discussed, but essentially your brain creates that color in its head. Yellow, a lot more straightforward. But either way, light comes down, reflects off of this guy, gives me a unique set of wavelengths that go towards me. They pass into my eye, right? And from the eye, like there's a whole bunch of stuff I could talk about where it's like it passes through the lens and then it gets obstructed by the aqueous humor and then it gets into the lens. It goes the cornea, then the aqueous humor, then the lens and the vitreous humor, then through the pupil. Like there's so many different phases that it goes through until it reaches the back of your eye. It goes and transmits itself into your brain and goes through higher order processing for you can be like, it's a flower, right? We can talk about all that higher order processing stuff later, but I at least wanted to get that light stuff in, right? Light. Different colors from one color, right? From white light. And it's just about the ratios of how many of those we get. Right? The ratios of the numbers of the things that are coming off of there, our brain interprets it as whatever color it is. The only other thing we'll say on that before moving on is going to be that, well, actually, I don't think there's anything else I was going to say. I'm trying to think, like, for next time, if there's anything I want to set up. No, maybe not. So yeah, just light. Now you understand maybe a little bit the physics of light, how that works for our perception. What I was going to say is the evolutionary nature of our perception is something we could also talk about in terms of what colors we see, why we see them, and why we perceive them at different levels. I'll just go ahead and give you a spoiler. Okay. Yellow is the brightest color. It is the brightest color, which shouldn't make any sense, right? Because every color should be equally bright if every color is along the same spectrum. But yellow is the brightest color. And it has to do specifically with how our eyes are structured. But we'll have to talk about that at another time. But if you ever want to prove this to yourself, take a whole bunch of different brightly colored things. You can lay them out somewhere at night and watch as the sun goes down. The last one you will be able to detect the color of is going to be the yellow one. It's just a natural thing having to do with how our eyes are structured. Anyway, so that's where we'll go with that. I guess y'all let me know some questions down below if you got them in terms of perception related stuff. I love talking perception. Next episode, I will probably continue to talk perception. I may record multiple episodes one of these days coming forward because I need to kind of get a backlog because I will be going out of town in a week. And so I just want to make sure that I'm not missing y'all some days. So for a little while, the episodes will probably get a little bit ahead of the comments, and then I'll catch back up to daily once I'm on the other side of that. So yeah, I think that's what we're going to call it. Let's go ahead and jump on into the hen pit as we say our goodbyes. Y'all, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Slime Rancher. I always have fun doing this. I love getting to talk to y'all. I love getting to reflex my knowledge. It's good. It's good to train your knowledge muscles. To get to chat with y'all, you know, it gets me in a good way for the rest of my day. So yeah, thank y'all for being here. If you could, please give the video a like, comment, subscribe if you're not already. Secret comment of the day should be the situation. Situation. All right. I don't know how you're going to spell it, but figure it out. Situation, but with a hen. If you could go and watch another of my videos, that would be amazing. Watching videos, leaving them on in the background, all that kind of stuff. It helps so much. I mean, that's how I consume YouTube. I just leave long videos on loop, essentially, and listen to them all day while I'm doing my stuff. So I would greatly appreciate if y'all would be able to do that. Tell your friends if you think they'd enjoy this. You know, share the love around, right? I want to see if I can't grow my channel to 100K subscribers by the end of next year. So we've got some time. It's a big goal, but I do think it's an achievable goal. If we stick with things, if we make some cool stuff, and, you know, just if we continue to cultivate this awesome community that we've got here, because I'll just go ahead and say, as a whole community, Stumpt has an amazing community. And within the Stumpt community, the Stumpt Price community has a great community. All right? There's layers. And I think y'all over here, I think we have a ton of fun. I think we have a really positive environment and impact on one another. And I think it's all about coming over here, having a good day, hanging out with your friends, and just having a nice, good morning and waking up in a great way, I guess. Or, you know, for a lot of y'all, I know this is evening. So, you know, chilling out at the end of a day. Whatever it is, I hope that I'm able to provide that for you, because y'all definitely provide that opportunity for me. But most importantly, y'all, above everything else, all right, I just have one thing I want to say. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. I have been Price, and I will see y'all next time.